I cut contact for years, but my wife secretly reached out to my toxic mother and sister, got manipulated and scammed by them, and I felt no sympathy at all. I am male, 34 years old, and have been in no contact with my mother and sister, female, 55 and female, 36, for the last 16 years. As soon as I turned 18, I moved out of the house, worked hard making minimum wage, and barely scraped by. Even the choice I made by moving out was infinitely better than staying with my mom and sister. My father left us when I was very young, and as a young mom with 2 kids, my mom had a tough time raising us. Due to her issues and resentment of my father, she tended to neglect me in favor of her daughter, and once even told me when I was very young, "You're just like your father, you'll never make a girl happy." Needless to say, that's just one example of her toxic behavior. Other things include stealing money I had saved up by working part-time to help my sister go on a girls' trip, supporting my sister cheating on her partner, and even trying to get me to cover for her. She also tried to get me cut from the school swimming team by making up lies about me taking performance-enhancing drugs at home, so that she didn't have to see me end up in a college far away. I had a possible scholarship for Ohio State University, which was a couple of hours' drive away. Her whole toxicity came from the fact that she made my life with her a living hell but also didn't want me to move out or become independent. I guess she just liked to complain about the fact that I was a burden to her. My sister never stood up for me either, and together with my mom, she also tended to revel in the fact that I was being dragged down with them. She was pretty ambitionless and thought that she could coast through life with a bunch of different sugar daddies. At least that's what I remembered from when I was a teenager. Thankfully, I learned to stand up for myself and realized I was being used as a scapegoat for everything wrong in their lives. After I moved out, I slowly managed to put myself through community college and began working in the hospitality sector. I was only able to do this thanks to the help of my friends who sometimes chipped in and helped me pay for necessities or cover rent. As soon as I was in a financially stable position, I paid them all back and mentioned just how grateful I was to them. One of these friends, Alyssa, female, 33, was someone I had caught feelings for, but when I moved out of Ohio, we lost touch. I ended up settling down in New Jersey and bought myself a house there, slowly becoming better at functioning as a person. After I had gotten no contact with my parents around 5 years ago, I met Alyssa by chance at a movie theater, and we immediately hit it off. Now we've been married for 2 years. Due to work and a new job opportunity, I ended up moving back to Ohio, and Alyssa and I decided that was the place we would finally settle down together. However, things started going downhill because, unlike me, Alyssa had started on this journey of self-healing, which she felt was important before we started a proper family. I won't lie, I do still have baggage related to my mom and sister. I have trust issues, and I'm very possessive of my material objects. Alyssa and I have had a few minor conflicts about it, but I understand that my issues come from my own experiences and always work hard to resolve things or change my behavior. We haven't thought about things that are related to my emotional baggage for ages now, because the longer I am with my wife, the more normal I become instead of the wacko habits that were instilled in me by the trauma of living with my mom and sister. Ever since we moved back to Ohio, Alyssa had been trying to get me involved in her journey of forgiving others. It's something she picked up since she's big on self-improvement, and it has helped us solve grudges and disputes with some friends and family members. However, I do not think it would work for me and have shut Alyssa down every time she has spoken about reaching out to my mom and sister and mending things between us. I mean, she was there when I was going through the toughest period of my life, and it was a direct consequence of my mom and sister. So I hoped she could respect this boundary that I had placed. However, when I came home from work last week, I was in for an ugly surprise. I saw my mom and my sister sitting on my couch with my wife. Alyssa turned to look at me with a shrug that implied, "I'm sorry, but this had to be done." I kept my cool even though I was raging inside and asked what was going on. My mother said, "Alyssa brought us here because she said you wanted to have a conversation with us. I know we haven't spoken in years and your sister and I wanted to hear you out. I could already tell this wasn't going to go down well from her tone alone. When I inquired, 'What do you mean, hear me out? You guys don't think you should apologize?' My sister literally scoffed and said, 'For what? You're the one who abandoned us. I've been living with Mom all these years to support her, and you never sent a single dime to us.' I could tell this wasn't going the way my wife thought it would, and she tried to mediate the situation, but things just got worse and worse. Time had made my mom and sister think that they were the victims, and I guess the fact that I was doing pretty well financially made them bitter. I wasn't surprised, they were just as toxic and stubborn as before, and my whole evening was ruined by an interaction that eventually escalated into a screaming match. I kicked my mom and sister out and was too angry to speak to Alyssa. She apologized profusely, and I slept separately for the night. The next morning I woke up and saw that Alyssa was in tears. It turns out that she had been planning this meeting with my mom and sister for a month, and in that time they had managed to get her involved in their lives through emotional manipulation. By basically promising they would apologize and fix things with me, they'd gotten her to do stuff like pay for loans and debt, and they'd taken off when everything went down yesterday. Alyssa texted my mom to ask why she didn't apologize, despite basically telling Alyssa that she planned to do just that. My mom had told her that was never her intention, and she had just been playing my wife for a fool to milk as much money as they could out of her. I feel bad for my wife, but I didn't have it in me to comfort her. I said that it was expected, and now Alyssa's not talking to me either. Am I the asshole for saying or implying you reap what you sow to my wife after my toxic relatives ended up being, well, toxic? Update 1. First of all, guys, I'm not divorcing my wife, of course. It was a massive breach of my trust to reach out to my relatives after I said no, but since she did it out of the goodness of her heart, Alyssa isn't exactly the villain in my books. The fact that I didn't comfort her when she had lost literally thousands of dollars was a bit douchey of me, and I can say that since I've calmed down. However, when we spoke again, I told her that I was sorry that she had been effectively scammed by my relatives. This is exactly what I had expected from them. She agrees and isn't holding any kind of grudge against me for saying, "I told you so." I guess now she knows that not everyone is deserving of forgiveness. Since Alyssa had been in contact with my mom and sister for so long, I also got to know about what they did after I left, and it makes me realize that I did the right thing. My sister got into a series of toxic relationships, scamming men out of their money, and my mom is a grifter who also bought into some stupid multi-level marketing scheme. They're both struggling financially, yet by every hand that tries to get them out of this mess. My mom remarried about 6 years after I left, and never even mentioned me to her new husband. I don't even know how, but he got to find out about the fact that I ran away from home, and when he asked my mom about it, she swung at him with a bottle of beer. She's divorced now, again. After that, my sister ended up becoming a walking red flag, and she works odd jobs to keep the two of them afloat. They're living in a trailer park. And Alyssa said that a part of the reason she wanted us to re-establish contact with them was because of how much they lamented their financial position. But I mean, after everything they did, I honestly feel like they deserve to be living a scummy life. Update 2. A few weeks after the whole blow-up happened, I was surprised to see a text message from my mom. I was a little concerned as to how she got my number, since Alyssa told me she never gave it to them, and she was calling asking for money. I guess now that I'm back in Ohio, they think it's okay to harass me to fix things for them. I texted back saying, I don't owe her, and after the way she behaved with me and my wife, she's lucky I don't call the cops on her. After that, the usual I heard from her in my childhood came out again. I'm an ungrateful son. I don't know what sacrifices she's made for me. Yada yada. I blocked her number. Alyssa has been working hard to regain my trust after the incident with my parents. She no longer tries to force what works for her onto me. Of course, I can't deny that she went behind my back, but it's good that she recognized that and has made sure she respects my boundaries from now on. Our relationship is stronger than it was before, and I'm steadily feeling better after the incident took a toll on me mentally. Update 3. I hate to say this, but I had to have my sister arrested. I hoped it wouldn't come to this, but Alyssa and I came home one day to find our house broken into. Stuff had been stolen and there was just vandalism inside as well. The security camera footage showed someone who looked a lot like my sister, and a group of men entered the house through the back window. After we told the cop about it, they took my sister in and found a bunch of my stolen stuff in her trailer. She's being sent to prison for 4 years, and my mom came to the sentencing in tears, but neither I nor Alyssa feel an ounce of regret for busting her ass. In my eyes, they're not family, and they never have been, and Alyssa feels the same way after realizing how they've used her kindness against her. Not the asshole. Based on the kind of trauma you have with your mom and sister, I'm surprised how maturely you ended up treating Alyssa. But seeing as she's been respecting your boundaries, I think the second chance is valid. Opinion 2. Bro, obviously not the asshole, but I just read your last update. Your sister robbed your house. Why? It seems like they're so jealous of the fact you made it that she's literally using criminal contacts to make you feel threatened. It's good that you sent her ass to jail. For the next story, my daughter, 16, female, has her phone on Do Not Disturb all the time. At first, it wasn't an issue, since she would still answer my texts and calls whenever she is out of practice. For the past few weeks, she has stopped answering my texts and calls, and she wouldn't receive them since I'd ask her why she wasn't answering, and she claimed she didn't get them. I'm not stupid. Her phone is on Do Not Disturb, and none of my texts and calls are going through. I'd ask my other daughters to see if they can reach out to her whenever she's out, just to ask her what time she might be home. No answers. My oldest, 22, female, would try to call, text, FaceTime, you name it, in order to ask her when she might be home. Over the weekend, my daughter had to attend an event at school, and when I came to go pick her up, she went missing in action and wasn't answering any of my texts and calls, since again, the Do Not Disturb feature was on. I started to get frustrated over it, so when my daughter finally entered the car, I told her that she needs to start answering my calls and texts, and she had no reason to ignore me when she knew I was going to pick her up. My daughter gave me the excuse of, "Oh, I didn't see it again." My frustration turned into anger, so I started yelling at her and said, "None of us are able to easily get a hold of you. Something that normally takes 2 minutes takes 20 or more, since we can't seem to get you to answer the phone. Your father and I have been worried sick whenever you don't answer the phone." I then told her she has 2 choices. Either she removes the Do Not Disturb, or her phone gets taken away for a week. My daughter rolls her eyes and said, "It isn't fair for her to not be allowed to have the Do Not Disturb feature. I said she needs to start answering her phone, or at the very least call us back right away. I said that if she doesn't comply, her phone will be taken away." She begged me not to take her phone, so I said she needs to remove the Do Not Disturb feature. She refused once again. When we got home, I told her if she doesn't want her phone taken away, she needs to remove the Do Not Disturb feature. After some back and forth, my daughter removes the feature right in front of me before running to her room in tears. Now, before anyone thinks otherwise, I did allow her to have the phone on Do Not Disturb, as long as she answers our calls and texts. We'd have to call her more than once to get a hold of her, but she is completely unreachable. I think I was too harsh, but I was at my wit's end. Am I the asshole? Edit. Some of you are thinking I'm spamming my daughter with phone calls and texts while she's at school. I do not message her during school hours. The issue is taking place after school or on the weekends. My daughter, most of the time, does not tell anyone where she's going, doesn't ask for permission when she wants to go out with friends, and would sneak out of the house every time her father and I are out of the house. None of my other children would have any knowledge of where she is, and even they'd ask her, but she won't answer her phone. Sometimes my son will ask her if she could buy him something from McDonald's, or if they can go to Target together. We did speak to her before, and she couldn't keep her phone on Do Not Disturb, and we would never call her or text while she is in class. Edit 2. My daughter has also been lying to us about where she'd go. She asked to borrow the car to go get food but would come home 2 hours later. I'd call her after 45 minutes, but the phone would go straight to voicemail. She normally does tell us if she's going to class or practice, but whenever she goes outside of those times and doesn't tell us, she will not answer the phone. It's like she's hiding. Edit 3. Some are suggesting I take the car keys away. The problem with that is, if there's a car available, she will leave. She's taken my oldest daughter's car a few times, and when she'd ask where she's going, she would say, "None of your business." My oldest hid the car keys from her, and it would be met with manipulation and my daughter crying and screaming. And at 4, as stated in the first edit, we do not text or call our daughter during school. And at 5, my daughter takes the car when my husband and I are not here, and if there is another car available. If there's no car available, she won't go. My daughter is on spring break this week, and I've spoken to her this morning and I've taken her car keys. She will not have it back for a long time is all I'm going to say. Not until my husband and I are able to trust her again. My husband and I will have a serious sit-down with her when she gets off from work this afternoon. Not the asshole. A teenager has the phone to be contacted. If she can't use it for its intended function, she doesn't need it. Though the Do Not Disturb function can be set up such that priority contacts go right through it, she is choosing not to. I'm going against the grain, but you are the asshole. Not for forcing her to turn off the Do Not Disturb feature on her phone, but for letting her think the way she is acting is okay. Your 16-year-old daughter doesn't think it's necessary to let you guys know where she's going. She sneaks out of the house at any given chance, and she steals others' cars. She's not borrowing someone's car, she's stealing. And you're teaching her that she can get away with it. You're threatening her with taking her phone away. It should have been taken away a long, long time ago. You say you can't take the car keys away from her because she will just steal whoever else's car is there, so you should even bother coming up with a solution. You are raising a child that is going to be horrendous to deal with in the real world, someone who doesn't respect boundaries and can't follow rules. This is far, far beyond the scope of Reddit. She might need to see a therapist. But in reality, it sounds like you guys aren't enforcing boundaries, and your daughter has realized she can step all over you. Some kids need a strict parent, and your daughter sounds like one of them. Children nowadays are becoming a horror to deal with, especially in schools, because parents like you allow them to run the household. Put your foot down. She is the child, you are the parent. Stop letting her put herself at risk because one day she's going to make a mistake she can't come back from. Not the asshole. She's been lying, sneaking out, and purposely ignoring you by setting the do not disturb on. You and your husband should sit her down to try to get to the root of her behavior. Don't attack her. Talk to her like an adult and let her know how worried you both are about her behavior. It might be a teen rebelling without cause, or it might be something else. Maybe she's seeing someone she shouldn't be seeing. Who knows? But family therapy might help. The Do Not Disturb feature has filters. Add your numbers to it so she has no excuse not to answer your texts, calls. As I sat at the kitchen table that evening, nursing a cup of herbal tea that had long gone cold, the house felt unnaturally quiet. My daughter had stormed off to her room hours ago, the echo of her slamming door still reverberating in my mind. The confrontation in the car replayed like a broken record, my raised voice, her defiant eye roll, the tears that followed when she finally relented and turned off that infernal Do Not Disturb feature. Part of me felt victorious, like I'd finally asserted some control in this chaotic spiral, but mostly, I just felt exhausted, bone-deep weary, the kind that seeps into your soul after years of parenting battles you never signed up for. At 40-something, with 4 kids under my belt, I thought I'd seen it all, but this rebellion from my 16-year-old felt like a betrayal, a slap in the face to every sacrifice my husband and I have made. Worry gnawed at me first, sharp and unrelenting. Where does she go when she sneaks out? Who is she with? The questions swirled like storm clouds, each one darker than the last. She's only 16, still a child in so many ways, yet acting like she's invincible. I pictured her slipping out the back door while we're at work, grabbing whichever car keys she could find and vanishing into the afternoon, the lies about just getting food that stretch into hours, the phone going straight to voicemail. It's terrifying. What if something happens? A car accident, a bad crowd, or worse, some predator taking advantage of her naivety. I've read the horror stories online, seen the news reports about missing teens. My heart races just thinking about it. Last weekend, when she disappeared after the school event, I paced the living room for what felt like eternity, my mind conjuring every worst-case scenario. My husband tried to calm me, but how could I relax? She's our baby, the one who used to cling to my leg at preschool drop-off, begging for one more hug. Now she's shutting us out, literally and figuratively, with that phone setting acting as a digital fortress. Anger bubbled up next, hot and fierce, making my hands tremble as I gripped the mug. How dare she? We've given her everything. A roof over her head, a car to borrow, with rules, mind you, and freedom within reason. But she repays us with deceit, sneaking out, lying about her whereabouts, even taking her sister's car without asking. That's not borrowing, that's theft, plain and simple. And the manipulation, the crying and screaming when she doesn't get her way. It's manipulative, and it hurts to admit that about my own child. I raised her better than this. Or did I? The anger turns inward sometimes, questioning my parenting. Have I been too lenient? Too focused on my older kids' milestones that I missed the signs with her? She wasn't always like this. As a little girl, she was sweet, eager to please, always drawing pictures for me after school. But puberty hit and it's like a switch flipped. Now every request for accountability is met with resistance, like I'm the enemy for wanting to know she's safe. Guilt crept in quietly, whispering doubts in the silence of the kitchen. Was I too harsh today? Yelling in the car, threatening to take her phone. Did that push her further away? She ran to her room in tears and I didn't follow. Part of me wanted to burst in, wrap her in my arms and apologize for raising my voice. But another part held back, knowing that caving now would undo everything. I've tried the gentle approach before. Calm talks over dinner, explaining why we need her to communicate. We're not spying, we're protecting you, I'd say. But it falls on deaf ears. The Do Not Disturb isn't just a phone setting, it's symbolic of her pulling away, building walls against us. And yes, I know teens need space, but this feels extreme. My oldest daughter at 22 never pulled stunts like this. She texts back promptly, asks permission, respects boundaries. Why is this one so different? Guilt morphs into self-doubt. Am I failing as a mom? Are my husband and I too busy with work, too distracted by the other kids? Or is it something deeper? Maybe she's struggling with anxiety, peer pressure, or even something at school she's not telling us about. Sadness washed over me then, a heavy blanket that made my chest ache. I miss my little girl, the one who giggled at bedtime stories, who shared every detail of her day without prompting. Now, conversations are battles, laced with sarcasm and evasion. When she finally turned off the feature in front of me, her face crumpled, and I saw a flash of vulnerability. Is she hurting too? Maybe this rebellion is a cry for help, a way to assert independence in a world that feels overwhelming. Teens today face so much: social media pressures, academic stress, the constant connectivity that ironically makes them more isolated. Perhaps the do not disturb is her shield against the noise, but why block us out? We're her family, her safety net. The sadness deepened as I thought about the future. If we don't fix this now, what happens when she's 18 and out on her own? Will she cut us off entirely? The thought terrifies me, brings tears to my eyes. I love her fiercely, unconditionally, but love alone isn't enough. We need trust, communication. Frustration resurfaced, mingling with determination. I've had enough of the excuses. I didn't see it. It's not fair. Life isn't fair, kiddo. We don't call during school. We respect her time. But after hours, on weekends, when she's out who knows where, that's when we need her to pick up. It's not about control. It's about responsibility. She has a job now, privileges like driving. Those come with strings attached. Taking the car keys this morning felt necessary, a line in the sand. She protested, of course, but I stood firm. My husband and I will sit her down tonight, not to lecture, but to listen. Maybe there's a boyfriend she's hiding, or friend drama, or even depression. We need to get to the root, perhaps suggest therapy if it's bigger than us. I'm not naive. Parenting a teen is war sometimes, but I won't let her self-destruct. Relief flickered faintly amid the turmoil. At least she's home now, safe under our roof. Removing do not disturb is a small win, a step toward openness. And deep down, hope lingers. She's smart, capable. I've seen glimpses of the mature young woman she could be. If we navigate this together, strengthen our bond, maybe we'll come out stronger. But tonight, as I rinse my mug and head upstairs, the emotions swirl unchecked. Worry, anger, guilt, sadness, frustration, love. Being a mom means feeling it all, every raw edge, and still showing up. I'll knock on her door soon, not to fight, but to connect. Because no matter how tough it gets, she's worth it. She's my daughter, and I'll fight for her, even if it means fighting her sometimes. As the night deepened, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, my mind refusing to quiet. Reflections on the day's events led to broader musings about parenthood. How did we get here? Flashbacks to her childhood milestones. First steps, school plays, the pride in her eyes when she aced a test. Those memories clashed with the current reality, amplifying the heartache. I wondered if other parents felt this isolated in their struggles. Online forums offer solidarity, but in the moment, it's just me, grappling with the fear that one wrong move could widen the rift. Yet resilience stirred within me. We've overcome challenges before, as a family. Tomorrow, we'll talk, rebuild. For now, I'll hold on to love, the anchor in this emotional storm.